fertility industry kills more human lives, is responsible for the deaths of more human lives than the abortion industry. And if we as pro-lifers think that these tiny babies, no matter how small, no matter how many days or weeks old they are, if we really truly believe that every single human is made in the image of God and that it's wrong for us to kill them, then we have a very serious discussion to have about IVF. I kind of went left for just to say, it was like seriously like a month. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be woke for a second. And praise God that lasted so little. If you are truly pro-life, it impacts so many of your beliefs and so many of your morals. You think differently about anything that has to do with human life, which is basically everything. The stakes are too high for me to be silent because I'm scared about losing a relationship.
Hi friends, so I am very excited about today's interview because I got to sit down with Miss Sami Parker, who is basically one of the faces of live action, and I filmed this interview with her almost a year ago, which is hard to believe, and it's been sitting on my hard drive because honestly life happened, things got crazy, motherhood, honestly, just some people handle it better than others. I get caught up in the busyness. Hearing Sami talk about what it looked like for her to pray for conviction, to pray for bravery, and what it looked like to walk that out in her life and step into this role of advocacy work for the unborn. It's just really beautiful. And this conversation has been so encouraging for me. Like, even though it's been sitting on my hard drive for the last year, when we first had this discussion, it really made an impact on my heart. God really used her words to sear some points that needed to be made into my brain. You go by Sami, not Samantha, right?
Yeah.
I love both.
Sami.
I think Samantha's super cute. I think Sami's cute, but she's here. Welcome to the podcast, Sami.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm really excited to talk to you too, because this is going to be interesting for me to find out more about your story. I feel like I was going to say you popped out of nowhere, but I feel like maybe that's just my awareness. I felt like you, in my sphere, literally came out of nowhere. And I think I found you maybe on my Explore page on Instagram a few years ago. And I was like, wow, this girl. I mean, I just got chills because your way with words, the videos that you put out are so powerful. And I found myself wondering as I was watching, every time you put out a short on Instagram, I'm just like, who is this girl? Where did she come from? Like, because you are so confident in your convictions and well-spoken. I mean, that's really, I don't know which is more impressive, the confidence or just your ability to really pick the point that needs to be conveyed and then hit it. You hit it so well. So I'm really excited today to sit with you and hear like how you got involved. So I guess, Sami, let's kick it up. How did you get on the internet? How did you first start getting your, whatever, you know what I'm saying? How did you start working with live action?
Yeah, well, like to go way, way back, I feel like this is probably every like content creator story of just like having kind of a natural interest in making videos and that kind of thing. So I like dabbled in making videos on YouTube when I was really young being, I don't know, high school or so.
Cool.
Yeah, and then in college, TikTok had just come out and it was still like really, really cringy. I don't know if maybe it still is really cringy to have a TikTok.
I guess it depends on the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, but this was like before it was cool to any degree.
Okay.
It came out. I think it actually like it was Musically at first and then changed to TikTok. And so I don't know, it must have been 2019 or something. I downloaded TikTok. I had just gone through a breakup, and so I had like crazy amount of time on my hands. And I just remember like dedicating so much time to making content on TikTok. And this wasn't apologetics content. This wasn't serious content at all. It was like all a joke. And like I was just doing it to be fun and have fun. And now I look back and I'm like, I don't know what I was doing. Like, I'm glad I wasn't like dancing or anything because that would have been like truly making a fool of myself because I cannot dance. But
I was gonna say, being a professional TikTok dancer is one of my goals in life. So, but anyways, I'm not even kidding.
I take it back. No, I've done like 2 TikTok dances ever, and I'm like, this is not my thing. It's not my calling.
I'm in the middle of learning choreography for my next one with my son. So I'm not even kidding.
Respect.
But go on. Yeah. Thanks.
So funny. So yeah, I was just kind of like messing around on there, having fun. I had a lot of time on my hands, like I said. And then COVID hit. And I don't know about you, but I kind of just feel like COVID hit and everybody got opinions about everything. Like that's when we
Yeah.
were like, we are
Yeah.
professionals on everything and we're
Oh,
journalists and
hitting the headphones, but yes,
yeah,
everything.
yes, no. And so that like myself included, I'm not saying that that's just everybody else. I
Yeah,
did that
yeah.
too. I decided I had opinions about everything. And so
Well, it was an intense period of time. That's the thing
it
is even if
was.
you didn't want to have an opinion, I feel like stuff was shoved in everyone's faces and everyone's
Mhm.
lives changed so dramatically. So it kind of makes sense that it went that way.
Yeah. And honestly, you were kind of, if you had any sort of platform at all, not even like thousands of followers, if you had a couple hundred followers, I feel like you were just expected to say something. Like this was right around
Totally.
George Floyd and like Black
Yes.
Lives Matter and all of the protests. And it was kind of like if you don't speak up about this, if you don't have an opinion, you have the wrong opinion,
Yes.
basically.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of all happened. And honestly, for just a brief moment, I did kind of swing left. I like
Really?
created, yes, yes,
Wow, that's surprising.
I know. Well, I just like, I didn't have the convictions then, and I didn't have the clarity, and I
Hmm.
didn't have the information.
Hmm.
And all I saw was that, like, it was right to be outraged, and it was right and just, and it was good to, like, speak up against this.
Yeah.
And this is not my expertise. It's not what I know. So I'm not trying to like get super deep into that whole conversation.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of when I was like, oh, I guess I don't know. I don't remember how many followers I had at that point. On TikTok, I had a good amount. On Instagram, I don't know how many. But
Hmm.
that's when I was just kind of like, maybe I should have opinions about everything people ask me about.
Hmm.
And so I kind of went left for just a sec. It was like seriously like a month. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be woke for a second. And praise God that lasted so little. I just like looked into it more and considered it more. And that's
I was gonna
also,
say like the surface story definitely made it hard to like
yeah,
tell what was even going on, but go on.
yeah, yeah. I think it was just I think that might have been a lot of people's stories was that we all kind of like not we all, but a lot of us kind of
Yeah.
like started going down that way and then heard a little bit more of the truth, and then kind of swung back. So that's basically what I did. But
Mm.
I guess upon my swing back is when I decided that like the thing that I want to talk about a little bit is being pro-life.
Mm.
Um, which honestly, when I started talking about it, I wasn't even what I would consider now to be pro-life. Like I thought most
Interesting.
abortions were wrong,
Huh.
but I definitely was one of those people who was like, oh, but there's like the exception here and there,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the cases of rape,
yeah.
fetal abnormalities and diagnosis and stuff like that. I can kind of understand. And so I really honestly wasn't even completely pro-life.
Mm.
Um, but I just made one video about the like basic pro-life argument of, if abortion is killing somebody
Mm.
and killing somebody, if abortion is actually directly and intentionally killing somebody and that is always wrong, then like abortion is always wrong. It was just like I didn't even say that exactly properly, but it was just that argument
Yeah.
saying it. And the video didn't perform exceptionally well or anything like that. I just
Hmm.
like posted it and got some pushback, but it like didn't go crazy. I didn't get a lot of negative pushback or positive.
Mm.
But it just so happened, which I believe is the Lord,
Yeah.
that Live Action was actually also looking for somebody to help them make their content on their TikTok that they had just recently started.
Wow.
So I may have made one or two other videos after that. I don't know. But somebody from Live Action reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, would you be interested in like, being a contractor for us and making videos? We see that you know how to use TikTok. You have a couple 100,000 followers there.
Oh,
Would
so
you
you
just
had
like,
built up somewhat of a following on TikTok.
yeah, I forgot to I forgot to mention that. Upon
Okay.
like all of my like funny, I say funny, I don't think it's funny anymore, but it was funny at the time. All of my like content, I grew a pretty big following.
Wow.
I think it's because it's before it was like saturated with a lot of talent. I was just
Mm.
like one of the early people, kind of like if you were one of the early YouTubers, you like,
Yes.
not to say that that's the only reason you made it big, but it was
No,
easier.
but that's me. I was early to YouTube and I worked my butt off for years
Yeah,
and years and years and years. But like, yeah, being early has its advantages.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, there's less competition.
Yes.
So that's basically how it happened. I got a good following. The people at Live Action saw that and also needed somebody to help make them content. I made like a couple pro-life videos.
Mm,
So that's kind of how I started with them as a contractor. But then I was like kind of talking to them and just my honest opinions and questions about it, like the exception cases, like telling them, hey, like I don't even know if I fully agree here. I don't know like I didn't know anything about IVF. Like that was a totally new
wow.
discussion to me.
Okay.
Um, and so I just didn't have all of my opinions set yet, and I wasn't sure. And so for the like first few weeks of me working with them, I was also just kind of like being trained
Mm.
and being educated. And they're like, okay, watch this, watch this, watch this, like read this, listen to this. Um, and I just kind of was walked through it. And then
Mm.
like within those 2 weeks or so, I was like, okay, I'm like 100% pro-life.
Wow.
It is always wrong to
Wow.
intentionally and directly kill an innocent human being. And so abortion is always wrong. And then it was just like from there, I just made them videos on their TikTok and tried to help grow that account. And then I just kind of slowly was given a couple more responsibilities and I became an intern and now I'm full time.
Oh, I didn't even know you were full time with live action.
Yeah, yeah, I've been full time with
Ah.
them since for 3 years now,
Oh,
three and a
wow.
half.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so you're full time creating videos. I know you have the podcast with them,
Mm-hmm.
which just launched. I haven't
Yeah.
heard it yet, but I've seen some of the teasers and I'm like, okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
like a really great concept, which feels
Yeah.
weird to say because it's a dark topic. But
Mm-hmm.
so is that what your main thing is creating content with them?
Yep. That's my like essential my role is basically just content creation and kind of helping with strategy as well here and there.
Wow.
But yeah, it's pretty much just creating content and then helping with the Conceiving Crime podcast.
Wow. So you were just like baptized into like in 2 weeks, like boom,
Yeah,
your
yeah,
whole
yeah.
world must have completely changed. Like even though you were already going that direction,
hmm
to have those fine points be really honed in, that must have been a
hmm
crazy 2 weeks.
It kind of, I mean, it was because like yeah, like you said, the foundation was already like mostly there.
Yeah.
But just to have like the full pro-life foundation set just kind of feels like it's so much more solidified. And honestly, it if you are truly pro-life, it impacts so many of your beliefs and so many
So
of your
many.
morals. Like you think differently about anything that
Everything.
has to do with human life, which yeah, is
Yes.
basically everything.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, oh, I don't know if I should bring this point up yet. I'm nervous to even bring it up in general because I don't know where you stand. So this, or if this is just a no topic, but something, speaking of which, things that have like reached out into other areas, for me personally, it's been vaccines for me because finding
Mm,
out that embryos are essentially used in, or sometimes actual babies are used in the development of vaccines is
hmm
something that's a trip. And I thought when I first found that out that it was maybe fake news. I hoped it was fake news, but from
hmm
everything that I'm seeing when I'm diving down these wormholes, I mean, I've been on hospital websites where they have documentaries like explaining it. And so from their perspective, they're giving it like they're trying to explain why it's not a big deal. Like they'll show a whole documentary of like, oh, it was one embryo, back in the 60s or whatever, which I don't even think is fully true, but they basically admit it.
hmm
And yeah, it's really crazy once you start diving down the pro-life wormhole and what the medical system does with embryos and
hmm
babies.
Yep.
Okay, so you started working with live action, you started doing their videos, you started part-time, now you're full-time. Do you develop all these videos? Do you write the scripts? Do you come up with the ideas? How does that work? Because that's really, it's not just that you're pro-life. I'm constantly impressed by the videos, like just like
Mm-hmm.
how to the point they are. You just do a great job with the wording.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
do a lot of it now, but I can't take like much credit for it because of all of the training I've received
Mm,
and all of the help I've received. We just, the live action team is full of people who are formed so incredibly deeply, who have just like the most consistent ethics ever. And
wow.
so, yeah. So throughout my time there, so many people have been there to correct me or like lovingly correct me, and everybody else on the team who isn't necessarily consistent that saying like, have you considered this? Or maybe this is a more concise way to put this. This is more of the
Um,
root of the issue rather than what you originally thought. So nowadays, yes, I do a lot of it. I just honestly scroll on social media until I find a video that I'm like, this is not correct, or this needs some kind of explanation as to why, like, or debunking or whatever it may be. And
hmm
then I just kind of like write out a couple of points that I want to hit on.
Yeah.
But the actual videos themselves, the reason that I think they're so engaging is because of our like editors that we have that are just massively talented that the Lord has brought to us.
Mm,
So yeah, I mean it's a huge team effort, and just because I do a good amount of it now, I haven't always. So
gotcha. I love hearing from you that they're morally consistent because that's something I'm not gonna like not dox, that's not the right. We'll say dox. I'm not going to dox what I was watching, but I was scrolling through social media before we got on the phone and I saw some stuff where I was like, man, that is so not morally consistent with what this person claims to believe and say.
hmm
And so it's always really encouraging when you find out that the people behind an organization, like that's
hmm
such an important thing, the consistency in their morals. And that's really cool to
yes,
hear.
it is cool, and but it's super challenging. Like I remember at the
Mm,
beginning when it came to IVF, I have people in my close circle who have done IVF, and I have obviously people online who I love so dearly who have done IVF. And that's
mm.
one of the things that I was hung up on. I'm like, well, you're creating life. Like, how
Yeah,
could we
yeah,
possibly be against this when you're creating life?
yeah.
But there's so much more to it. And also, something to consider is that the fertility industry kills more human lives, is
Oof.
responsible for the deaths of more human lives than the abortion industry. And if we as pro-lifers think that these tiny babies, no matter how small, no matter how many days or weeks old they are, if we really truly believe that every single human is made in the image of God and
Yeah.
that it's wrong for us to kill them, then IVF has something, we have a very serious discussion to have about IVF as pro-lifers, as Christians. So that was one thing that like really it's sobering. I had to like reckon with it and say, well, these people are consistent with their life ethic and I really respect that. And it's hard to get over that. But as soon as it was explained to me and I looked further into it, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of different aspects about IVF that are wrong.
I want to give a quick shout out to the first sponsor of today's video, and that is Homestead brand. I've shouted them out before. They make currently one of my favorite purses. I got this purse last summer. I'm actually friends with the owner of the brand. They are the nicest, I was going to say God-fearing, like Christian, crunchy, incredible family. They make the most beautiful leather goods, like high quality leather belts. And like I mentioned, this purse that I have been absolutely obsessed with for like the last year. The leather is a beautiful color. It feels amazing. It holds a lot. It's sturdy. And on top of all of that, like I said, I just love the family. So check out Homestead brand. You will not be disappointed with any of their products. They actually have a storefront now in Washington, which is really incredible. So check that out if you get a chance to make it down there. And you can use the code NikkiP for 10% off. Thank you as always for using my codes. Happy shopping with Homestead brand. Their stuff is literally incredible. Let's hop back in.
Well, along those lines, two things. One, I think that's really interesting. I think that's going on, unfortunately, a lot in other areas of politics right now, like, well, in regards to health things, where a movement or something will seem really positive, but there can be, I don't
Mhm.
want to say subversive, although I guess it depends, I don't know, on the viewpoints of the people in the medical system, but I guess we could call it subversive because like you said, more babies are being killed via IVF under the guise, although I know that like implies a bad whatever, but we'll say guise of creating life. It's like, oh man, but you're actually killing lives. So I think that's really interesting and something, this is a conversation I've been having with my mom in regards to other areas that like look good and maybe
Mhm.
underneath it's like not so good. But the oh dang it, what was the second thought? Subversive. Oh, that's right. What are your thoughts? Because I mean, I'm like educated on IVF, but
Mhm.
considering you have this amazing team behind you, I'm wondering if you have extra thoughts to bring to this that I may not have even heard. What are your thoughts around pro-life IVF, meaning like when someone creates like three embryos and they put them all in, so they don't keep
Mm-hmm.
any on ice, they bring them all in. What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts around that?
So before I give like my answer, I want to just recommend anybody listening to
Mm.
read the book Conceived by Science. I think that's what it's called. Gosh, I have it
Hmm.
literally right over here, I think. Is that what it's called? I think it's called that. It's by Stephanie Gray or Stephanie
Okay.
Gray Connors. I can't remember exactly what it is,
Okay.
but that's the book that ultimately for me like solidified everything. And I
Mm.
know, I guess I might not put it perfectly succinctly. I think Albert Mohler, if you know who that is,
Hmm.
actually had a line about this one time that was just perfect. And it was like you can try to be better about it. You can try to be more pro-life about it. You can like do as much as you can to get as close to the like natural way that babies are conceived. But at the end of the day, something to consider is that we are still playing the hand of God
Hmm.
when it comes to conception.
Yeah.
And this is something that took me a really, really long time to side with and to understand. It took me a lot of reading and it took me a lot of thinking and prayer.
Mm.
Um, but ultimately, it's just there are too many things that you take out of God's hands and put into the hands of people who are not God, obviously,
Mm.
to create life. There's other things to consider, like most of the time, masturbation is something that
Oh,
is
I
involved.
forgot about that.
Yeah,
I
like to get the
totally
sperm,
forgot. Yes. Uh-huh.
right? And the people who are creating the embryos, the people who are putting the sperm and the egg together, the hands are not gods. They
Yeah.
are
Oh,
scientists.
man.
And so there's like better ways to go about it, but that
Mm.
doesn't none of the better ways are actually good.
Yeah.
It's so hard because infertility, it's not something that I struggle with, first of all. And so I
Yeah.
can totally understand somebody listening and being like, well, you have no idea what it's like. And I
Yeah.
don't. I have
Yeah.
friends that do. I know people that have, but the line that I use at the end of the day is that the means don't, what is it? The ends don't justify the
Justify the
means.
means. Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
just because the goal of having a child is beautiful and good doesn't mean that we can do whatever we want to get there.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, like I said, because I'm not even close to an expert on the topic, but I'm very hesitant around like all things big pharma. And I know the process of
Mhm.
IVF involves lots of different kinds of medication and altering your hormones, like manually adjusting them with injections and stuff like that. And I would be curious to know how those medications even are made, like what's even
Mm.
in those medications. Like I said, in regards to vaccines, a lot of people don't even believe it. Like, no way, that can't be the situation. Or in the sense of, like you were saying, the ends justifying the means. That's kind of a big debate around that topic too. People will say, well, it
Mm.
was just one baby, like I said, 30 years ago. It's like, so does it suddenly not matter because it's
Mhm.
30 years later? Their life doesn't matter. There's a really good book. I don't know if you've read it. I feel like it's not super well known, but it like rocked my world. It's called Faith and Wellness by RJ Rushdoony. And it is, I mean, I just got chills because I've read it like 3 times. I'll probably read it multiple more times in my life, but it's kind of his perspective, but like through the lens of faith, of like the centralized industrial medical complex
Mm.
and the fertility industry, man. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but like, you mentioning the masturbation and like just all the
Mhm.
injections and all of the embryos that are the babies that are killed because they're discarded or left frozen on ice. It just,
Mhm.
yeah, it has left me, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't feel great about it. I have felt previously better about the idea of people using all the embryos, because then I'm like, okay, at least you're
Mhm.
not leaving a baby behind. But really, I feel the same way the same way you feel about it, like holistically, that it's not, we're playing God.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I just would be very questioning over all the rest of the medications. Like I don't
Mhm.
tend to be trusting of all of that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, IVF, you started making the TikTok videos, the Instagram videos, and now you're doing the podcast. So how did
Mhm.
this podcast unfold? Who came up with this idea?
So it was actually, she's not on the live action team anymore, but she was somebody that I worked with and my director, and they just kind of talked about it as this pretty cool idea to have a true crime podcast, but all the stories that we cover are within the abortion and the fertility industries.
Mm.
Because, I mean, I don't know if your audience listens to true crime, but the majority of people who do are women, like
Mhm.
reproductive age women, just like we like true crime. We like
Wow, that's
listening to
so
like dark
specific.
stuff. I know. I know. But these podcasts that are like the true crime podcasts don't cover the stories that ours cover, which is kind of
Yeah.
where we saw the opportunity, like devastating opportunity as it is. It is
Yeah.
an opportunity to shine light on the darkness and to tell the stories that nobody else will tell. And so
Yeah.
it kind of just started as an idea, and it's kind of like maybe you could just like start the video and talk about these crimes and that kind of thing. And then it kind of slowly snowballed into this bigger project where it was like, what if we made this a really it's a really high produced project. It's like listening to to like an audio drama.
That's so
There's
cool.
sound effects and there's music,
Hmm.
and the story behind it is written by professional writers. It's not written by me. So with this project, I can't take much credit. I'm essentially
Okay.
the narrator,
Gotcha.
and I helped with the ideation and the creation of it, but we have a producer behind it. We have writers behind it
Hmm.
because they do a lot better at that than I do. That's not
Hmm.
my thing.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, the story behind it was to tell these stories that nobody has heard. I mean, a couple people in the pro-life movement have heard them, especially if they've been in the movement for a while. But
Yeah.
largely speaking, these are stories about um, embryos that are swapped before they're placed in their mother's wombs. And then the parents find out after the babies are born. And what do you do then? Do you swap your babies back so that you have the biological child, or do you keep the child that you grew in your womb for 9 months that only knows you?
Oh
Either
my
way,
gosh, I just got chills again. Holy Toledo.
horrible, horrible. And like either way, I remember that is one of the episodes specifically that sticks with me because it's like there's no solution. There is no answer as
Oh.
to which of those fixes it. And so there's those, or there's stories of abortionists who are responsible for the deaths of women who they've given abortions to. There's
Mm.
stories of, there's like a story of a what's considered the demon midwife in Japan, a midwife who's responsible for the deaths of a whole bunch of Japanese children who were surrendered to her by parents who couldn't take care of them. And so these are, I mean, I'm sure anybody listening is like, these are extremely dark stories, but
Wow.
they're also fascinating to listen to.
Yeah.
And the piece that is really intriguing to me is considering like how they were enabled in the first place.
That was just what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like, what cultural beliefs have been set in place to allow that embryo swap story to happen? It's
Uh-huh.
because we have totally normalized the idea of IVF and of taking the creation of life outside of the hands of God. And here's the result. Like, yes, of course, there are also there countless of beautiful lives have been created, and all of those
Hmm.
people, I'm so glad that they're here and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But here is what happens when we allow this. Here's what happens when abortion is normalized. Here is what happens when we don't prioritize the needs of children over our own desires as adults. It's those
Oof.
kinds of things that are just really fascinating to me. And so there, I mean, there's literally endless stories. And so we're like, how could we not take the opportunity to tell them and also to encourage the listener to change their opinions about things.
I hate to hear that there's endless stories like that. I mean,
Yeah.
just the ones that you said are just shocking.
I don't like to say it was a really fun project to work on, but I was really honored
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be the one to help share them because
Yeah.
or the largest online pro-life organization that there is, we should be the ones making sure people have heard these stories, like you said.
Yes. Okay, so I feel like, how do I intro this? I had, I've only had a couple of moments in my life where I really felt like God spoke to me very clearly. Like literally, it's been maybe 5 moments thinking back where I was like, whoa, okay, Lord, like that was clear. And one of those moments was about 5 years ago when I had some stuff unfold. But basically, I felt like the Lord told me, like, you need to speak up about all of the babies that are being lost, about abortion. You need to bring it to the forefront of your content. And I didn't at first. I was never secretive. Like if you followed me, you knew I was pro-life, like you knew where I stood on a lot of things, but I wasn't like, it wasn't like a forefront thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I've started talking about it more over the last few years, but I feel like I say all that to say, regardless of if someone's a creator or not, these are conversations people are having in their everyday life. These are things that maybe even in their social media sphere, even if they aren't like an influencer or trying to be a content creator, they might want to share something, but they're scared, they're nervous. How do you, I guess, just deal with the hate? How have you gotten your sea legs, if that's the word? Like, how have you found the strength to speak about these things? And yeah, how do you deal with it? Do you ever get discouraged or down by by all of the hate? Like, I feel like I'm elaborating too much. I tend to do that with my questions. I give too many
No.
words. It's like, I got your gist, girl.
No, I don't know. I think to put it succinctly, and then I can expand on it, it's really hard at the beginning. Like the
Mm,
beginning is the hardest part of doing it.
mm,
When I started speaking out about it, that's when I lost the friends. And that's when I got in fights with the family members. And that's when you experience the most pushback from the enemy, I think,
mm,
because it's like once you are over that hill, it's pretty smooth sailing, at least in my experience.
mm,
I lost the friends. It was very, very painful.
mm,
I, the rifts between relationships within the family were created, and that was really hard.
mm.
And in those days, what I reminded myself is just like the babies matter too much for me to be silent about it because I'm scared to lose that one cool friend that I have, which
Mm.
like I was scared to do that. Like I'm not
Yeah.
going to pretend like I was above that,
Mm,
but I don't know, if you just pray for the conviction, the Lord will give it to you. He has no problem giving you the conviction. And so I
mm.
think you just have to like, for me, it was just like the stakes are too high for me
Yeah.
to be silent because I'm scared about losing a relationship. Um, but
Pray
then
for
once
the
I was
conviction.
over
That's
it,
a really
yeah,
good side. I
yeah,
mean, not to derail you, but
no.
that's very specific. I'm constantly amazed by the things. I was about to say, kind of like Chat GPT. People keep telling me, like, I use it for this. And I'm like, wow, I never thought about that. Even the way that people pray for things, like
Hmm.
I would have never thought, like, pray for conviction, for
Hmm.
the strength and for, yeah, the conviction to act.
Hmm.
That's, yeah. Anyway, sorry, keep going, but
No,
that's
yeah.
just good.
I mean, that was probably the most helpful thing for me throughout my whole pro-life experience is
Mm,
the conviction. Even now, you find yourself getting desensitized to it, and so
mm,
you have to pray for conviction for it all the time just to remember the urgency to act. Um,
mm,
but yeah, once you once you do lose the friends, then you start gaining the friends. That's when
mm,
like when people knew I was pro-life, that's when I had a couple of friends or acquaintances that I had start to say like, "Hey, I feel this way too. Like I thought I was the only one." And then you kind of form new friendships that way. And now like everybody that am surrounded with, at least in my close circle, is staunchly pro-life. And I do still have a couple of friends. I didn't cut anybody out. I don't believe in doing that. I believe
yeah,
that, if you're able to hold on to a couple of friends that are pro-choice because they're willing to like continue to listen to you or to continue
yeah.
to follow you, that's wonderful.
Mm,
So, yeah, I think once you do it, you just have to like bear it. And
mm,
then I think it's gotten a lot easier. I still get hate every now and then, but like honestly, I just don't care. And that's kind of also just my personality. I'm not super um gentle. That's something I struggle with. I need to be a little bit more gentle. And so I'm
No, it's
kind of
good. We
always
all
just
learn from
like,
each other.
yeah,
It's
I've just
good.
always kind of been black and white and pretty
Yeah.
extreme. And so I don't really care that much when people call me whatever or
Yeah, I've
do
seen
that
you
kind of
be
thing.
pretty bold online, like about your dive down the LDS wormhole. I'm like,
Mm,
wow, she's
yeah.
bold. I've gone down a very deep LDS wormhole for the last like
Hmm.
7 years. So watching
Mm,
you, read all these books and all of that, I'm like, wow,
yeah.
she's really out there with it. It's really cool to see you processing through everything
Hmm.
and sharing it because that conversation, on a side note, I think is also really important.
Yeah.
You said something, dang it, where's the thought going? Ooh, conviction. Oh, I was just gonna say it makes sense though, because I feel like that principle of like it being hardest in the beginning is true for so many
Hmm.
things. Like just getting started on
Yeah.
things is like the hardest part. Like keep going, get over the hump, and then you
Hmm.
get momentum. And so I could see that also being like momentum emotionally too. Like this is what I'm doing. This is where my heart
Yeah.
is. This is where we're going. So
Hmm.
that's really encouraging to
Hmm.
hear.
Yeah. I think it's just helpful. Like it's almost like the idea of practice makes perfect. Like
Hmm.
you learn what it feels like to have the little hate comment thrown your way. You learn what it feels like to lose the friendship. And then you
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know, you're made more resilient by it if you allow it to be that way. You know, you allow the Lord to build you in this way that's like, I don't know. I think the word is resilient in a way to
Yes.
deflect the hate and that kind of thing and just look to him and look to the truth and
Mm.
keep going. Yeah.
I want to give a quick shout out to Honeymark. Honeymark makes my favorite super duper cute, modest, comfortable, so well made swimsuits. I have worn these swimsuits literally out to restaurants after going to the beach. They're amazing. They're multi-purpose. The fabric doesn't overstretch. They're breastfeeding friendly. They have a wide range of inclusive sizing. I love them. Just so cute. I've talked about them for years. The obsession is still strong. So check out Honeymark and you can use my code, which I really appreciate when you guys do, Nikki10, and you get 10% off your order.
Yeah, and you made the comment about not cutting anyone off. I have experienced the same thing. And I know it's just through my lens and your lens, but I have found this is kind of a subject change, but not really. It's still on the same, track. I have found over the last like 5 years after my cancellation, after becoming even more public about just different beliefs I hold, whether it's abortion or other things, that it's mostly like people on the left cutting me out. Like I didn't cut people out. And I'm really not like, I'm not quick to cut people out who have different opinions than me. Like I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
keep the relationship and talk and work through things and talk about things and hear their perspective. I don't know. It's very bizarre how suddenly it just seems like there's more tolerance, if that's how we're going to describe tolerance, like on the right side of the spectrum than the left. When I feel like in the
Mm-hmm.
past, it was like, it's the left that's more tolerant.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of a side note, but that's unfortunate that that's what you've experienced as well. And also very interesting that that's what you've also experienced.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's not rare. Yeah.
It's kind of what I'm vibing, but I don't
Yeah.
want to say that it's fact, but that has been
Yeah.
my experience and the people that I know that's been their
Yeah.
experience as well. And it
Mm-hmm.
sucks. It sucks that it's like if you don't, that the group think on that side is if you are not stepping in line, then something is wrong with you. I actually had this engagement with someone on Instagram recently who they were, maybe it wasn't recent, maybe in the last couple of months, but they were yelling at me in the comments about some kind of something. I don't even remember. And I said, like, dude, I follow, because this is true. I'm like, I follow people that are on the left on Instagram. A lot of my friends joke with me because they say they'll wind up on like angry leftists Instagram pages. And then they'll be like, what, Nikki's following this person? Like, what's going, because I find it fascinating to hear,
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to know what their perspective is, not only because I don't like being blindsided if I like have an opinion. I want to know like,
Yeah.
well, what are the counter opinions? I don't want to be blindsided with a counter opinion. I also want to know for sure I still think what I think. Also, it like is prep, I guess, to like maintain conversation and relationship, whatever. The person in the comments was
Mm-hmm.
yelling at me, and I was like, I listen to lots of people. I follow and listen to a lot of people that I disagree with. And this person basically said to me, well, that's because you are scum and you don't have any standards or morals for who you will associate with. And my mind exploded because I was like, wait a minute. You're calling me scum for associating with
Mm-hmm.
people who think what you think because I'm not going to be morally consistent and only associate with people who think like me. Like it was so on both ends, so weird and didn't make any sense. But
No.
I thought it was kind of a little bit of a snapshot into how people on the left kind of think like, oh, well,
Mhm.
you have to stick with yours. It's like, I don't know. We're not going to build a whole lot of bridges that way, people.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's so tricky.
Yeah, it is. Before we land the plane, is there anything that you came into this conversation thinking like, man, if I could say this, and if not, it's fine. I don't want to like put the pressure on you. You're like,
Yeah.
no. But if there was anything that you were like, I want to get this point across, or like, is there anything that you want to say to people in closing, or just that you really want to be out there in this interview? Here I am again, like elaborating on a point you probably could have got with one sentence, but
No.
that's my question.
Uh, Gosh, let me think. There's not one immediate thing, but I do want to take the opportunity to say, I guess I could just encourage anybody who's listening
Mm,
to, because I was at one point, the girl who was a little nervous to speak up and the girl who kind of wanted to stop speaking up when I started losing followers, when I started losing friends.
mm,
Um, I don't know. I guess I would just say to pray for conviction and learn the truth about what abortion does. Because if you do believe, I very much believe to be morally consistent. Um, if you believe that every single human is made in the image of God and that every single human is inherently valuable and has inherent dignity and inherent worth, you have to be against abortion.
mm,
Have to, because abortion directly and intentionally kills an innocent human being every single time, and that
mm.
is always wrong. And there are over 2,000 abortions committed every single day
I
in the
mean, it's
country.
mind blowing.
You can't fathom the number. Like, you can depress yourself and cry about it once you try, but you
Mm,
just can't. Like, 2,000 lives over 2,000 lives every single day
mm,
is what is at stake. And so it might be harsh, but I just don't think that anything is more important than that. I don't think any job, I don't think any relationship
mm,
that you're worried about teetering is worth being silent about it. Um, and also just to remember that the Lord will bring you friends who agree with you. Might take a little
mm.
bit, but they will show up. And honestly, in my experience, they are much more firm of friends and real of friends than um, the people who don't have a really solid life ethic. And that's not to say that every pro-choicer is shallow or that your pro-choice friends are not real friends. I really don't mean to say that. But in my experience, the friends that I have now that do share, my moral standpoint, are just really solid people and they're so, so loving. So
Mm.
I think that's kind of a lot to say, but have the
No.
courage. Yeah.
Yeah, I love all of that. And I also like one thing that stuck out to me in there was this idea, not idea, but well, yeah, an idea of learning about what abortion really is, like
Mhm.
being really rooted in reality, because I think maybe that's along with this concept that we just highlighted of praying for conviction, which I think is so good. I think that being rooted in reality, like you said, 2,000 abortions a day, and like knowing what abortion really is, I
Mhm.
think that that's a huge part in getting the guts to hold firm in your stance.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe I posted a video. Now, granted, it was a clip from the movie. What's the movie? You know what it is. My friend was in the movie. Ashley Bratcher was in it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't it unplanned?
unplanned. Yeah, I'm like, it's
Yeah.
un something. I'm like, not unbroken. What is it? Unplanned. Unplanned. I
Yeah.
showed a clip on my Instagram of that movie when the character who's playing Abby, what you know what I'm saying.
Abby
When she
Johnson, yeah.
Abby Johnson, when she was in the room and it was a later term abortion being
Mhm.
performed and the baby was scooching away. And people got really mad at me about, saying that's not how abortions are performed. But I thought, man, like this whole idea of being plugged into reality, the guy, you probably know this, that the doctor in that movie, Dr. Anthony Levitt, something like that,
Levatino.
Levitino.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that he knows what really goes on in abortions.
Mhm.
And it blew my mind. I mean, I'm getting chills again, how many people thought it's just completely fake. That doesn't happen. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. It's like, no, it happens. And
Mhm.
finding out that that actually happens gives you some more guts as well, because
Mhm.
that's just so absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah,
think a lot of people knew that in that movie that was an actual ex-abortionist
yeah.
playing that role.
Hmm.
What were you going to
Yeah.
say?
I was just gonna say that live action, actually, we have the abortion procedure videos online. I think it's abortionprocedures.com. They're animated, so it's not real.
Okay.
Like, it's not what they really look like, but it is what they really look like. But
Yeah.
all of the doctors who are explaining these abortion procedures are former abortionists. And
Oof.
so these people, first of all, know how it was done, but second, have like the scales have peeled back from their eyes and they have become pro-life.
Mm,
So, yeah, I think like
praise
the
God.
so many people don't know the truth about abortion, and that's how the abortion industry thrives. Like, because if you don't know what happens, you can't see what's in a woman's womb. Like
Mm.
it's hidden, it's secretive. And so you just have no idea. And it's also how they've gotten so many women ensnared. Like I've spoken to women. I've like been on flights with women who have had abortions, who were just not told the truth. Like they were
Wow.
told it's a clump of cells. They were told it's just a little pregnancy tissue. It'll be quick, boom, done. But
Wow.
like her soul knew the truth
Wow.
and then recognized afterwards what she had actually lost was not just like a meaningless clump of DNA, like it was her son or daughter. And it has like lifelong effects and it's devastating. And so, yeah, I think just once the truth is exposed, first of all, it can save lives, but it can also lead to repentance. It can
Mm.
lead to grace. Um, so yeah, it's like knowing what abortion really does is it's like the most powerful tool to change minds.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. You don't have to answer me. Maybe it's awkward asking. I don't know if you've had any pregnancy loss ever, but
Myself,
yeah.
no, thank God I have
Okay.
not.
So I miscarried at almost 11 weeks about 2 years ago. And
Sorry.
shortly after I miscarried, um, was it the Guardian or the Atlantic? One of them did an
The Guardian.
article, the Guardian, yes.
Yeah.
And they were like debunking like what a baby actually looks like. And this
Mhm.
was like, I always give myself chills when I'm talking. It's so, but whatever, this is chill worthy. It was like
Mhm.
weeks after I had miscarried. So I was obviously very emotional. And they put out that article showing this is what a baby actually looks like at 10 and a half weeks. And that's when I miscarried. And
Mhm.
it was another level of like adding conviction and guts to like, I have to speak about this because I
Yeah.
could not believe the complete lie, because I had an experience that so many women who miscarry don't have for a lot of reasons. They either don't know they're miscarrying and they miscarry in the toilet,
Mhm.
or they're told at the doctor's and then the doctor says you need a DNC. So they go into the office, which that's a whole other topic. But I tend to do my birth stuff just in general at home. So when I knew I was miscarrying, I just decided like, unless something becomes a problem, I'm just going to do it here at the house. And so I had the blessing of delivering my baby in my
Mhm.
bathtub, and it was like mini labor. I went into mini labor, and when my baby came out, we held the baby. The baby was exactly what the app had been describing to me. Side note,
Mhm.
that's how I knew when I miscarried, because it was the exact
Yeah.
size that they
Mhm.
said that the baby would be. But the point is, I could not believe the misinformation, for real misinformation. They love
Mhm.
throwing out that word, but the for real misinformation that the Guardian was putting out there,
Yeah.
saying that that was what a baby looked like, when I had just held my baby
Yeah.
and my baby actually looked like a baby. And what they put out looked like just white fuzz nothingness. It was
Yep.
so mind blowing. And then they tried to defend it by saying, like, oh, well, that was after it had been like dried out and this and that. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
even know what you would have had to do to my baby to make it look like that, because
Right.
literally my baby looked like a baby.
It was
So,
so deceptive. Yeah. They
so
called it
deceptive.
pregnancy tissue, which because of the whole abortion industrial complex, now people conflate the word pregnancy tissue with baby because that's what they call babies now. It's pregnancy tissue a
Wait,
lot of the
what do you
times.
mean by that? That just went over my head. You're just saying that they call babies pregnancy tissue?
So like a large majority of people now, when they are told you have pregnancy tissue, they understand it to be, oh, you're talking about the fetus, because that is what people like Planned Parenthood, the abortion industry, has used to remove the humanity from the baby. And so they call like the pregnancy tissue, when you have an abortion, we remove the pregnancy tissue, we remove the products of conception. They say anything but baby. So what the Guardian did there was they said, this is what your pregnancy tissue looks like at however many weeks. They actually did just show pregnancy tissue. Like this wasn't actually what the baby looked like.
So
This
they
was
just
not what the
laid
fetus.
tissue
Yeah.
out to be in a similar shape.
Yeah, like maybe the placenta, maybe some part of the gestational sac, like literally just tissue. So it was not actually what the baby looks like, but they were so
Wow.
cunning in how they did it because they understood that a large majority of people read pregnancy tissue and think baby because
Yeah,
that
because it
is
was
what we've been
presented that
told.
way.
Right.
It was present, and they had it on the little measuring
Here's what
thing,
it
and
actually looks like, right? Yeah.
yeah, and they had it kind of laid out to where it was like a similar
Yeah.
measurement. Wow, that's so
I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how like first of all, that's just gaslighting so many women like yourself who had gone
completely.
through miscarriage and seen their actual children
Hmm.
to be told this is what it actually was. Like it was just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I
sorry.
mean, thank you. It was really hard, and but God works all things together for good, and
Hmm.
other women go through that as well. And it's not a club I wanted to be in, but it
Hmm.
definitely gave me a lot of insight and perspective, not only in regards to miscarriage, but also in regards to abortion. Like it was
Yeah.
very, very eye-opening and crazy, weird, and a blessing to also be able to see a baby that
Hmm.
tiny. Like it
Hmm.
was just it was it was wild. And my
Hmm.
son was very aware of the whole thing, and he'll bring up the baby every once in a while. He'll be like, one day are we going to see hope in heaven? And it always
Oh,
surprises me. Like kids are
yeah.
so, or they can be so aware, and he was
Yeah.
just so aware of that whole process. Because yeah, he brings up the baby every couple of months, and I'll be like, dang man, you
Mm,
still remember. Like
that's, yeah.
yeah, we're going to
Wow.
see baby hope in heaven. And
Hmm.
yeah, so it just, yeah, it added another layer, though, is the point, like of
Totally.
conviction.
Yep.
So yeah,
Mm.
well, on that note, that's kind of a sad
Yeah.
note to end it on, but also not, because you talking about praying for conviction and being bold, I don't know, that just prompted me to add that on there. And I think that's kind of just the overall message of this interview is
Hmm.
going to the Lord and asking him for the conviction and the what's the word, the boldness to walk it out in your life in the way that he wants you to walk it out, because it can be
Totally.
scary and it looks different for everyone, but
Yeah.
everyone's dealing with, I think, fear in regards to however they're supposed to be bold and whatever they're supposed to speak up on. And
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah. That's well said.
well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me. And yeah, I didn't know any of your story, so that was all very interesting. And I look forward to watching you just continue to create in this space. And I'm grateful for the way that I know God has used your work and your voice and your
Thanks.
team's just collaboration together. Your whole
Mhm.
collaborative effort has just been really amazing. So thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sami.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.